The story I'm about to tell you is about two Dutch students named Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon. They had both planned to hike the El Pianista Trail in Panama, but unfortunately for them, this beautiful trip would end up taking a very creepy and mysterious turn, with lots of strange photos and a case that baffles investigators even to this day. Anyways, grab your snacks, get comfy, and let's get into this tragic story. Before we dive into this very strange and interesting topic I have for you today, I would just like to take a moment to thank you so much for being here. I try to upload these creepy, interesting, and thought-provoking stories at least once a week on my channel, with cool and fascinating shorts here and there about random topics that most of you would probably like to know. Anyways, let's get back to the story. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe and drop a like, letting me know that you're enjoying the content. Peace out. Let's get back to it. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon both grew up together in Amersfoort, Utrecht in the Netherlands, and I apologize in advance if I pronounced that wrong. Both family and friends describe Chris as being the more creative and responsible individual, while her friend Lisanne was described as being very aspiring and intelligent. She was also very athletic, as she was a volleyball athlete. Both of them had just graduated from their universities and were on track to becoming very successful people in society, with Chris specializing in art education and her friend Lisanne specializing in psychology. I mean, as you could tell, these were both two very smart, structured individuals, and for them to go missing the way they do on this trip that I'm about to talk about just doesn't really sit right. Anyways, after they graduated, Chris and her friend Lisanne both planned on going on a nice down-to-earth vacation to Panama for 6 weeks, where they had hoped to study some Spanish and do something of significance for the locals there, like volunteering and stuff like that. They both had saved up for the trip for 6 months, and then off they went. They arrived in Panama on March 15th, 2014, and started their trip off by touring the country for 2 weeks, enjoying the beauty of the place, and I'm assuming just having fun and living life. I mean, both of them had just graduated from school, and I'm sure neither one of them wanted to think a single thing about work for as long as they possibly could. Following those 2 weeks, Chris and Lisanne eventually arrived at Bukete Chiriki on March 29th, where they had stayed with a local family. That way they could help volunteer with the children in that community. Well, unfortunately, this week would end up becoming the last week that anyone had ever seen the two alive. On the morning of April 1st, around 11 a.m., Chris and her friend Lisanne both decided to go on a hike near the clouded forest that surrounded the Baru volcano near the El Pianista Trail, not too far from the Bukete they were staying at. Before they embarked this trail, it was apparently reported that the two had been seen having lunch with two Dutch men before the hike, so that might be correlated somehow with the disappearance, but unfortunately those dots haven't been connected just yet. Anyways, Chris and Lisanne ventured on this beautiful, treacherous hike, but things start to take a dark turn when both their parents stop receiving communication from them too the following day on April 2nd. The pair never returned back to the place they were situated that night of the hike, and it was also reported that they had took a friend's dog with them on that hike, and only the dog returned home, but this is still yet to be confirmed, for the dog at least. After a few days of their disappearance and no one ever hearing from them too, things start to get a lot more serious. And on April 6th, the parents, along with police officers, detectives, and dog units, all from the Netherlands, arrived in Panama. They conducted a full-scale search of the forest to hopefully find the two missing girls. The search lasted for 10 days, and unfortunately, they came up empty-handed. It just baffled the families because these were two very intelligent girls, and for them to just vanish without any text, phone calls, or messages, or traces, or clues, just seems so strange and ultimately a mystery. The parents ended up offering out a $30,000 reward to help get any information so they could get their daughters back. Time goes on and hope starts to fade. It almost felt like the two girls just vanished into thin air and they were never going to be seen again. Until one day on June 14th, keep in mind this is 10 weeks later from when the missing girls were reported. A random local ended up turning in Lise Ann's blue backpack, which she took with her on the hike. It was reported that the local had found the backpack on a riverbank near their village, which was called Alto Romero. Inside the backpack, they found 2 pairs of glasses, $83 in cash, Lise Ann's passport, a water bottle, camera, clothes, and both the girls' phones. Pretty normal stuff, I think we can all agree. But what's really strange is what they find inside of the phones. The girls' phones show that they dialed 112, which is the international emergency phone number in the Netherlands, around 6 hours into their hike. They also had dialed 911, and it showed that they tried a few times, but unfortunately, the calls couldn't go through due to the lack of reception in the area they were in. Between April 5th and April 11th, Chris Kremer's phone showed that it was turned on multiple times, but someone kept entering the wrong passcode and they were never able to get into the phone. On April 11th, the iPhone would show that it was used one more time before it was eventually just turned off and never used again until they had found it that day on the riverbank. There were 90 flash photos taken on the phone on April 8th. The photos show what seemed to be the jungle and near complete darkness, which is both eerie and unsettling. Then there were some photos of a river, some random photos of a twig and some plastic bags on a rock. Another photo shows what seems to be a backpack strap and a mirror on top of another rock. And probably the most strange and creepy photo is the back of Chris Kremer's head, with a little bit of blood on the bottom of her hair. At least that's what some of the investigators speculate it could be. All these photos are definitely odd and very random, but at the same time, this gives off a very weird and creepy vibe, almost as if these photos are being taken while these girls are on the destination to whatever sinister ending they're going to meet. The discovery of this backpack was luckily very significant in the investigation of finding these two girls. Authorities searched along the Colubre River, where they ended up finding Chris Kremer's denim shorts, only a few kilometers from where the backpack was found originally. Sadly, as the search continued, they ended up finding a pelvis bone broken in half, a boot with a foot inside, and at least 33 widely scattered bones that with DNA testing showed it belonged to both Chris Kremer and Lise Ann Froon. Some of Lise Ann's bones still had skin attached, while Chris Kremer's bones appeared to have been bleached, almost signifying this was certainly no accident. But yet again, this is not confirmed to be a murder. On the contrary, authorities are more so leaning towards this being a freak accident of some sort. In my opinion though, this whole story is so strange. I mean, you have two very bright and smart girls, fresh out of schooling, both very healthy physically and mentally. And for both of them to just vanish and somehow get lost overnight, even though they both had phones that still had battery in them, and I'm sure they had some sort of plan for this trip, it just seems so odd to me and something doesn't sit right. Also, the really strange and weird photos they found on their phones, and the fact that it seems like someone tried to unlock their phone multiple times without getting the passcode correct, just doesn't seem to make any sense at all. Anyways, I just wanted to share this very creepy and strange story with you all, and this is still an ongoing investigation, and I do truly hope that we eventually find out what happened to these two victims. And maybe, who knows, with me sharing and creating this video, we might be able to unlock some more secrets about this case that we will know more about in the future. Oh, you made it to the end? Well, thank you very much for sticking around. I would just like to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and drop a like, letting me know that you are enjoying the video and you're enjoying my content. I have a TikTok, an Instagram, and a Facebook where I upload shorts and other cool stories, so feel free to check that out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out. Have an amazing day.